And I'll have a vanilla, one of the vanilla bullshit things, whatever you want, some vanilla bullshit, latte, kappa thing, whatever you got.
Fuck you, Larry! Bullshit, motherfucker! You are such a bald asshole!
I'm not sure.
What is that? Oh, that's mine! Hey!
This is the one you're
That's
talking
it, yeah!
Mondo.
Mondo Freaks.
Mondo Freaks.
How's it going, everybody? Happy Sunday night, also known as the new episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. We are in the final season, season 12. We saw episode 2 tonight. Last week was the premiere. That video's been doing pretty well. I'm one half of your host this evening, Rob Fishbeck, and my other co-host, ladies and gentlemen, Dustin the Juice.
Yes, there is nothing else cultural happening tonight. It is only Curb Your Enthusiasm, the only thing that matters.
100%. We say this because the Super Bowl was on tonight, which, football's cool and all, but we did want to do this show, so we are here live on the air talking all things Curb. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Had a good night tonight with some friends. I'll get into it, but had a good time leading up to coming home to watch the Curb episode, missing the end of whatever other cultural event was happening tonight, not caring about it because I didn't really want either team to win.
Sure.
But I'm here and I'm ready.
Let's do it. So for those of you that don't know, we started the show last week with the premiere episode, and it was kind of fun because pretty much on the fly, we figured out what the show was going to be. Which is basically we just take the concepts and bits that they did in the episode, and then we talk about them and put them in our own lives and share our stories and experiences. And for those of you that are watching or listening, I'm sure all of you can share your own situations that are similar to things that Larry's gone through in the given episode.
Oh, yeah.
So that being said, if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. If you're not new to the channel, still please like the video. And then after the words, leave us a comment. Let's start a dialogue. Let's start a discussion. I love hearing stories like, oh my gosh, that happened to me, or I totally agree with what Larry had to do, or what. Sometimes I totally agree with Susie, and Larry's just a fucking bald asshole. So, right? That's the way it goes.
Love it. Yep.
All right. So let's just get right into the show. So obviously at the end of the first episode, Larry got arrested for giving out water in the election line.
Yeah.
Again, it's a comedy show, so you got to take that into account. I've not checked Georgia law as of recently, but I swear to God, if that's a law in Illinois, like what fucking horseshit that is. Luckily, most of our elections are held November, so it's not 95.
Yeah, nobody's like right. Yeah, and I just binged, as if you had watched it last week. I am just catching up on much of Curb. So I actually just watched the episode a couple of days ago where he is in line to vote and he pats a guy on the shoulder. Hey, who are you voting for? Oh, that guy? I'm voting for this guy. Why don't we just get out of here? So
they cross each other out.
A funny juxtaposition to what we were at today.
I love it. So the show basically starts off with he's in this holding cell with this guy and they're talking about digestive issues. So I think that's a great first topic for us to bring up tonight. The idea of being lactose intolerant, dairy versus non-dairy. How much cheese do you eat? I can probably take. So for those of you that don't know, both of us hail from the Midwest. I'm from the Chicago area and Juice is from Wisconsin. Is there any, so every time I go to Wisconsin, you're kind of obliged to stop and buy a block of cheese,
right?
Are you a big dairy person? What's your story with the dairy?
So I always like to preface, because I work at a bar where we serve, actually, we have a whole cheese menu. You can get cheese, like a cheese flight, pick your own flight, pick out different cheeses. But I'm actually not, and I credit this to the fact that I'm originally from the East Coast and not a Midwestern born. I'm a Philly, Jersey born boy. So I don't like just to eat cheese by itself, unless it's mozzarella, like mozzarella sticks. I can do that. But I love cheese. Don't get me wrong. Cheese on everything, but not individual. So it does make me sad to think of somebody that can't eat cheese in general or dairy products. But yeah, the individual cheese is not something that I personally am big on.
I'll do. So, like, if I'm trying to cut some weight, instead of like having the bread, I'll just like roll some ham or turkey up in a piece of cheese and just. It sounds like caveman style, but like just eat like meat cheese.
Oh yeah.
I'll do like cheese and pretzels once in a while. I am like once in a blue moon, I'll get a block of Parmesan cheese, and I like to cut it up with a literally sit there with a knife, cut it up, have some like balsamic vinaigrette. Maybe some crackers or something like that, or like cut a block of Parmesan up and put it in a salad. But like cheese by itself, like I'm not even a big mozzarella sticks guy. Like if I'm ordering like an appetizer, I'm gonna get nachos or something else.
Sure.
So for me, the only like cheese by itself I'll do is string cheese.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant by string cheese. Yeah.
Although
I will do mozzarella sticks, but I get what you meant. Yeah.
That being said, I would say this was recently. It was right before Christmas. I got a thing of string cheese at the store, and I was ravished one night. Like I was trying to cut some weight, and anyways, I must have had like 6 pieces of string cheese that night. I was constipated for like 36 hours, like straight up. I mean, that whole like dairy will just back you up. It's so true.
So one of the few things that like are constants in our break room at work are like meat sticks and cheese sticks. So when I work, I usually consume like 3 cheese sticks, 3 meat sticks, like a shift. So I probably have just built up this tolerance, although I've been kind of sick lately. So maybe like I've just like finally the buildup has caught up to me, but
totally. I also think like once I hit 30, certain things didn't happen as fast as they used to.
Sure.
Because I think back to when I was younger, and it's like, I know what I was eating when I was younger, and I had no problem.
We have a couple of years. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, no, I know a few people that are lactose intolerant, and it's just like, they still, the one of my good buddies is kind of lactose intolerant, and like, he'll still eat pizza, which how could you, especially in Chicagoland, it's like, how could you fucking not eat pizza?
Right.
But past that, he's got to watch it. Yeah, it's gotta suck to have a lactose intolerant.
How are you with the gluten-free? So I have a gluten-free friend who he doesn't have like the full allergy, like where like he's not gonna die if he eats gluten, but like he'll definitely like have problems if he eats gluten. But he will just do it for the sake of eating, for the joy of the succulent, entertainment within his mouth that he has. I don't know what I would do if I was in his shoes, but yeah, do you have any like gluten-free?
Yeah, I got so much to say about. So to quote Tom Waits, you got to free the glutens. Here's my deal. According to a very good friend of mine, I'm kind of stuttering because it's like I want to make sure I say this correctly. Good friend of mine who definitely works in the health industry made a comment, and he said, Rob, we're all allergic to gluten. And I said, what do you mean we're all allergic to gluten? And he goes, we're all gluten intolerant. Basically what he was getting at was food is so processed now. 100 years ago, think about it this way, let alone 50 years ago, but 100 years ago, indoor plumbing was still not a like main thing in areas outside of like Chicago, New York, San Francisco, out like real urban areas. So, you think about like 100 years ago, people were still cutting chickens' heads off. 10-year-old kids were doing that and plucking the feathers off and like frying that up for dinner. So we're not that far removed from still this like hunter-gatherer world, right? At all. And, you know, it's like, I say this to say this whole like lactose intolerance and gluten intolerance, you know, these have become things, you know, because you think about people that are diabetic, you know, some people are born with it. Some people get it because they abused sugar for a long time or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that being said, I know there are a few close people in my life that are gluten-free because they're allergic to gluten, right? Even though we're all allergic to gluten,
Right.
more or less. Obviously, some people have, you know, what I should say is this. From what I've heard from friends of mine, once they stopped eating gluten or went like 90% gluten-free or whatever, they felt better. They felt lighter. They didn't feel bloated at all. They didn't feel like garbage. You know, they didn't have like the idea of like inflammation, like in your cheekbones, stuff like that. Right. People we know that drink a lot of beer or eat a lot of bread, that's where the puffy cheeks come from. It's just all those carbohydrates and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I say this to say, I'll eat gluten-free stuff when it's offered to me. And it's good. It's just, it's expensive. Like a little cheese gluten-free pizza from Aldi is like $7.99. And I can get a fucking XL Supreme Aldi pizza for $5.99.
Right. I bring my gluten-free friend and his wife to dinner, nice Italian place. I'm like, let's go. Come on, you guys don't eat these nice places like me. He gets the gluten-free pizza. It's $5 extra for gluten-free. It's crazy.
And that's fine. Again, if your face is going to puff up or you're whatever, like straight up and down.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to go gluten-free. I would love to eat 80% less carbohydrates than I do and supplement it with protein. But here's the deal. Yes, I'll eat chicken, you know, not fried chicken. I'll eat chicken breasts and blah, but like straight up and down, what's cheaper? A 6-pack of popcorn from Orville Redenbacher for $3.99, or like here's some like protein crisps that are coming in this little package that are like $7.
Yeah.
And so I say all this to say, like, eating healthy, especially nowadays with the way of the world and inflation and all that stuff, it's like borderline impossible if you don't make a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's tough. That's what I say about the gluten-free stuff is like, I'm all about that. Like, I'm all about like, hey, let's get the protein bread or let's get the keto bread, but not at $5.99 when like regular rye bread or wheat bread's like $2.50.
Yeah.
Where are you with all of that?
No, I'm the same. I'm trying to eat like low carb as much as possible. Like try to eat as much chicken and well, I say that, but I don't actually do it. But like, that's the ideal, you know, a lot of chicken and veggies, but yeah, I'll do the pasta every once in a while. Just, you know, go in full force pasta. No, you know, no gluten-free pasta. But I never have issues. Like I never have like, I've been blessed to not, at least this far in my life to not deal with that. But I've been trying to like, if I can like keep like a good balanced diet at this point in my life, I can probably maintain that for hopefully the rest of my life and won't have to eventually go on a diet like that. But
yeah, that's my advice then. Like, no joke. And I'm in my early 30s, but once I hit 30, like gaining 10 pounds becomes increasingly easy and losing 5 pounds becomes increasingly harder. So no bullshit. I'm on these apple cider vinegar pills. Like I'm trying to drop, because I put on like 10, 15 pounds over the last like 6-9 months, even though I think I eat pretty well.
Yeah.
I just wasn't as active, and it just creeps up on you. So yeah, and Christmas didn't help, but yeah, I'm with you. It's like eating healthy, you know, everybody's all about it, but their wallets don't work for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. No, totally.
So it's interesting. It's interesting. So that being said, moving on to the next, one of the great arcs in Curb Your Enthusiasm was this whole idea of Mocha Joe. Mocha Joe, that whole thing was great. And, I love how Joe D'Angelo, the lawyer, he's Mocha Joe.
He's Mocha Joe.
He's Mocha Joe.
He's Mocha Joe. The beans. It's on the beans. Take a sip. Take a sip. So good.
In 10 years, because I do this already, and now that you're further into having seen the whole series and whatnot, I think you might agree with me. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Obviously, demographic-wise, Seinfeld got a lot more viewers because it was a different era. It was 30 years ago. Far less channels, far less competition, far less distractions. So everybody knows a soup Nazi, the idea of a low talker.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. King of the Castle, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I definitely think Curb's characters can compete with the great characters from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
But I think in 10 years, we're going to be looking back and it's just like, this show is just as good in terms of like the characters that stand out, et cetera, et cetera. So from your experience so far, not just with this episode, but just like in general, like, have you been enjoying all these random characters that they seem to? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Mocha. Yeah. Mocha Joe. Yeah. He was a legend. I'm not even a big fan of the soup Nazi. Like, I actually don't even like the soup Nazi episode of Seinfeld that much. Like, I kind of cringe when it gets to that point where he's going to like kick him out. I'm kind of like, I don't even need to watch this. I know what's going to happen, but I don't know. Mocha Joe is just classic. And when we do, to plug our future episode, when we do bring up our favorite Curb episodes of all time, I will absolutely bring up the John Hamm episode. I think that could be one of the greatest TV show episodes of all time, is the episode with John Hamm as a lead. And when he goes in on Mocha Joe, it's so good.
I 100% agree that, to be honest with you, I think I'm going to I might rewatch the whole series just on and off over the next couple months as we continue to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Because, and I say the story about, I've talked about this on other shows, but if you've never watched any of my other shows, I'll bring it up here. I don't think I've brought this up to you. Here's my thing with John Hamm. So Mad Men came out in like 2007. And to be honest with you, like, I knew what it was. I knew it was a show. It was a show on AMC. It's super serious and all that stuff. I'm in high school. I've got other things on my mind, other things that are happening in my life. So a few years goes by, and I decided I wanted to binge watch 30 Rock. This was in the early days of like Netflix and all this stuff.
Gotcha.
So I want to say, I don't know if it was the whole series was out yet or whatever it was, but this was like 2012, 2013. Maybe the whole show was out at that point. I say this to say, so I binge watched 30 Rock over like 3 months, 4 months. They're all 30 minutes long, so it doesn't take too long. And there's a whole character arc where Tina Fey's character, Liz Lemon, is dating John Hamm, who plays this doctor on the show, but he's a total idiot. He's just like just a total buffoon, but he's a doctor. He's like a surgeon. And there's this whole, to give it away, like there's this whole bit where he like loses his hands and now he's got hooks for hands because something, I don't remember. I only saw the episode once, but like I am on the ground laughing so hard. So 1 and 1 didn't equal 2 yet. And I'm like, man, this guy, John Hamm, has got to be like one of the funniest people I've ever seen in my entire life, right? And then there were some Saturday Night Live sketches that, because I used to follow SNL. I used to watch it every Saturday. And then I kind of like fell off, as some people do throughout certain points of my life. But I saw some sketches that John Hamm did and he had hosted it, and like him and Bill Hader doing it. And I'm just laughing hysterically. So like the next year, I'm like, I'm finally going to sit down and watch Mad Men.
Yes.
It was like one season before the final season. And it, by the way, it's my favorite show of all time. It's my number one. Like True Detective season 1 is like, I will rewatch that anytime, any day. But like as a whole series, Mad Men, that's my number one. You get really excited. Are you a big Mad Men guy?
Huge. I haven't technically finished it yet,
Okay.
but it is my family's favorite show. I'm talking about my aunt and uncle that might be watching this show they watched last week. Hope you're watching this week. They got me into it, but oh man, I watched so the way that I work is I love something so much I don't want it to end. So what happens to me is I watched years and years ago, I watched the first 4 seasons and was like, this is amazing. This is the best. And then some, life happens, you take a break, and then I get back into it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start from the beginning and watch again. I get like 4 seasons back, rewatching, and I'm like, this is amazing. I can't wait to keep going. And then like life happens and I stop, and then other things happen. So I've only seen like 4 or 5 seasons, but yes, it is my favorite show of all time, minus maybe Cobra Kai. But
Sure.
Yes, Mad Men, 100%. So freaking good. But yeah, absolutely. And
So you're almost there. You've only got a few seasons left.
I know.
You can get there.
I've tried it.
Yeah.
I plan to keep going. They
So
took it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I say all this to say about John Hamm because I sit down and I finally watch Mad Men. This is like 10 years ago. And I sit down and I'm watching Mad Men and I go, John Hamm, people don't like this when I make these comparisons sometimes, but one of the things that I loved about Robin and still love about Robin Williams so much is that he could do both comedy and drama like masterfully, from Insomnia to Good Will Hunting, 1 Hour Photo. Obviously more people know him as a comedian, but I feel that the more time that goes by, our generation and the generation underneath us, the Gen Zers, which you may be a Gen Zer, I suppose. No, you're not. You just made the cutoff. I think people know him 50-50 because if you were around, if you were like my parents' age, when he did Good Will Hunting, that was like, holy shit, because you were used to him sweating a gallon and drinking 4 bottles of water on stage and like burning 5,000 calories, a minute doing his stand-up routines. So I say, it's like one of the things I loved about Robin Williams, one of the things I love about Steve Carell is, and he's also like Beautiful Boy and The Big Short, Foxcatcher. But I would put John Hamm in that same category because he's more known for playing Don Draper than anything else. Right. But whenever he gets a chance to do comedy, it's an ace in the hole. And the fact that he's gotten to work with, in my opinion, 2 of the probably 5 to 10 greatest comedy creators of all time, Tina Fey and Larry David, those are both home runs, in my opinion, getting to work with that caliber of comedy. So I totally get what you're saying. I love those episodes with John Hamm. Yeah. Anyways, so as we digress sometimes here on this show, John Hamm was not in this episode.
He was not.
But it's worth having the conversation, I think, sometimes. So, have you ever watched 30 Rock, by the way?
No.
Highly recommend it.
Okay.
It's very good. It's very good.
Yeah.
So, I do want to comment on one thing before we move into the next part of our discussion. I've noticed this. Everything changes over time. You can't have it look exactly the same. But I've noticed definitely more this season and last season. You go back and I watched some of the old clips at Curb, and it was ahead of its time, but it was right on time, But I've just noticed kind of a little bit how the show's changed over the years. Not very much, but it's a little bigger and broader in scope. I think more now. Like it used to be very much like a lot of the episodes would just take place in Larry's house, Jeff's office, Larry's office, Jeff's house, sort of thing. And like we're starting to like move out. they were doing that like with the season when he went to New York and all those things. But like, I feel like we're moving into a little bit bigger of a scope, which is cool. Like there was even a blues music cue towards the end of this episode where normally they would just play your standard Curb music. I think it had to do with the fact that they weren't in LA, they were in Atlanta. So like, let's play something maybe a little more Georgian, I suppose. Have you noticed that at all since you've kind of been?
Well, yeah, it was surprising. Like when he was in, like when the episode started, he was in jail because I just expected him to be back in LA.
Right.
I thought the bit was just going to move on.
Right.
So yeah, for sure. Like from everything I've seen, even though yes, they've had like the overarching themes from season to season, rarely it's been like a cliffhanger. Granted, like we're not expecting that from Kerr, but yeah, we're not expecting him to end the episode in jail and then the next episode to begin with him in jail. You know,
right?
Like,
because there has been
just to move on.
Totally, there have been other episodes that have ended with like the police being called, but they never go back to it.
Yeah,
it's like,
well, yeah,
you know.
So I just did a binge of the season before and still getting through it, but like one of the episodes, him and Vince Vaughn's character, like he is extremely angry at him for spilling on his sweater, and he yells at him for at the death of the guy's funeral, whatever, and they're like not friends. The next episode starts. Like none of that's happened. They're just friends. And then there's the KKK episode where the guy's coming after him. The episode ends with him blowing the Jewish horn and the guy runs away. And of course, next episode, it's, not addressed at all.
Every season's, maybe not the first season or two, but most of the seasons have always had like an overarching theme to it, like an arc, if you will. But episode to episode, I feel like they used to be a little looser. Whereas now, like, there's definitely more of a format to it. I say this to say I have a theory, and I don't. If it's true, like, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but like, I'm smart enough to put two and two together.
Go ahead.
Here's my theory: they're gonna play whatever they do with the middle episodes. I don't know, but I think the last two episodes, he's just gonna straight up do the Seinfeld ending again, where like. Your John Hams, your Vince Vaughns, your whatever, they all testify either for or against him. And the series ends with him in jail, like Seinfeld, because I could see Larry going, well, they didn't really like the Seinfeld ending. You know, it would be funny is if we just did the Seinfeld ending again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe he does all this to like subvert, maybe like 2 episodes from now, everybody else starts thinking that, and then he like subverts our expectations and does something totally different. I can see that as well. Yeah. But like, even if he did do the Seinfeld ending again, I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd be fine with that. Did you pick up on that at all? Like, okay, they're doing a case.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've seen enough now to know. Yeah, to pick out that.
Have you ever read like a strange science article that's like, just talks about humanity and how like I've heard things that like people's heads are going to continue to get bigger as humans like move forward and our bodies are going to become more round because we don't physically exercise as much. This will take like a couple 100 years. But I bring this up because of the whole index finger with the shoehorn bit. What are your thoughts on all of that?
The only shoehorn experience I have. So, those like footballs, where there's like toy footballs, the little like 3 spirals on them. I think we were at an arcade once. My grandma was getting pretty like old in years, and we're there, and there's like a spiral case of like prizes, and one of us like wins a prize, and it comes down. It's one of these footballs with the 3 little like triangular things on it. And she just goes, "Is that a shoehorn?" And my dad just bursts out laughing, and he's like, "What in the world are you talking about? That's a football." She's like, "I thought it was a shoehorn." And so like I always associate shoehorns with like this, just with the triangular like little kids toy football. So like as soon as like they brought up shoehorns in the show, I was like, that's hilarious, even though it has nothing to do with the point that they're making. In my head, it's hilarious. So that's what I have to say about shoehorns.
I was at a friend's house. I'm friends with the parents as well. This was years ago. And I won't say who, but I'm over there and there's a shoehorn lying on the table. Now you've got to understand a few things. You know, I have what they call an old soul. So like I really have absorbed 20th century history, especially in pop culture, all that sort of stuff. But like, again, I was born in November of 1990. So sometimes I'm still just a millennial, right? And there's a shoehorn lying on the kitchen table. And I pick it up and I go, oh, this is a really neat back scratcher. And I begin to like scratch my back with the shoehorn. And the dad goes, he's like, Rob, he goes, that's a shoehorn. And I go, oh yeah, like I've heard of these things before. I'm sure I've seen these things before, right? But like they're not in our everyday lives in the 21st century. So I mean maybe I'm misspeaking. Like, are shoehorns a part of your life at all?
I don't think so. I think both of our experiences come because of two people having no idea in reality what a shoehorn actually is. And therefore we both know what a shoehorn is.
But the best part was, so I was like, oh, my bad. And I like go to set it down and he looks at me and he goes, I use it as a back scratcher all the time. This is the same. This, by the way, this is the same person that taught me about respecting cheese. So
yeah.
You know, but yeah. So we should
awesome.
probably just get to the whole crux of the episode here, which is this black lawn jockey, which is that's very okay. So here's what I'll say. I like this episode. There's not an episode of Curb where I like left disappointed. Like, oh, that was a bad episode. There's some episodes that are funnier than others. I would definitely say that. This was a good one. This was probably a middle of the road for me. But the whole idea of the black lawn jockey, as soon as they broke it, I knew this was going to be a bit through the whole show. What were all your thoughts with this whole lawn jockey thing?
Totally. What we talked about before, where like, yeah, these are rich people. Why can't they just, pay the security deposit? Like,
right. Like, why is Susie so caught up with the security deposit?
Yeah.
Like, you guys, I mean, we were talking backstage, like $1,000, $1,500 was probably their deposit. Maybe, maybe.
And the cost of you have to take. Because it's tough with a show like this, because you have to take realism out of it for the sake of comedy. Right. Yet, this is a show about realism. You got Leon. Why don't you have Leon go buy it?
Leon would probably know where you could get a black
Leon.
lawn
Yeah, like Leon, you got Leon as your disposal. He can be like, no, he's not racist. He's just trying to buy this for a specific reason. So it's fine, right? It was funny, but yeah, it wasn't the best bit ever.
And he goes to the garden place, and of course, it's a black worker.
Yeah, oh boy, and it is funny. It is funny for sure.
Like to your point, the whole like you kind of have to shut off reality for the sake of comedy. But like for me, at the same time, it's like, yeah, but I could see like if it was me in that situation, I would just be like, here's the situation. My best friend's wife rented an Airbnb in which we're staying at. First, I mean, by the way, time out. You're telling me this guy doesn't know who Larry David is? Forget the Seinfeld thing. He's all over the news.
Yeah, that's true.
And he lives in Fulton. I mean, this guy lives in Fulton County.
Yeah.
So that's whatever. I guess I'll set that to the side, nitpick. But it would just be like, hey, this is a situation. We thought it was in very poor taste to begin with. We broke it, and in lieu of losing our security deposit, we're just going to buy a new one. Do you think you could help me out? And I guarantee, I mean, again, I know that doesn't work for the sake of comedy, but like, I think that would avoid any like weird situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this idea of the martyr. And, we live in this, by the way, this is not a political show. We will not be talking politics at all. But we live in a world where politics, and it's not even like, what's your stance on, foreign diplomat, being a foreign diplomat. This isn't like, like, hey, what's going on in, wherever right now. It's very, I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest with you, but we just live in this very strange world where like every single, like I was seeing this stuff with the Super Bowl, left versus right with the Super Bowl. And it's like, it's a very strange thing. And every side, and even within like the main political sphere, you've got two sides, and then you've got like all these little pockets within the sides, and then people like in the middle. But this idea of the martyr, I couldn't help but laugh. My guy, my hero, musical hero, Bruce Springsteen, even shows up.
Yep.
And he's like, he calls him, I wrote it down, he calls him Larry Involvement David. And it's kind of your standard, like, okay, everybody knows like Bruce Springsteen, he's for the working American, he's a Democrat, right? He's for the working people in America, and like he sings about like little injustices and big injustices that Americans face on a day-to-day basis. I don't think this bit went over anybody's head too far, but like if that, you see it, it's like, oh, and my first thought was like, either Bruce is a big fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm and none of us know about it, or like, how do you sell that to Bruce Springsteen? Like, hey, do you want to be in our, but this whole idea of the martyr, like, do you have any thoughts on just like that whole thing? And it seems to be like everybody's a martyr now, and I think that's what they were commenting on. I just thought, I just think it's a little weird in general.
For sure. I'm trying to think if I have a specific take on it. I don't know, but it is weird how certain people are taken as, they might say one certain thing, may or may not regarding one certain issue, and it's just, they are like, oh, they are the person, they're the hill we're gonna die on. Like, we're gonna raise them up. Like, yes, that is who we're for. And they may or may not, like, in reality, have any idea or any care of what you care, what you care about. Yeah,
totally. I mean, and to your point, it's like, I think some people, they just do things and then they start getting called a martyr, and they didn't even know what they were. They didn't even know that, like, intentionally. And again, I think Larry is just trying to spoof the whole thing and just like make fun of both sides. Like, you guys are all nuts. This is dumb, right?
Right.
But like the guys on MSNBC, like when Susie's sitting there watching it on the news, they even like compared him, like they made the joke. They're like, well, he's not quite Rosa Parks level. But like, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, only in 2024 does that joke work. First of all, second of all, again, we know this is a comedy, so you got to take it with a little bit, with some salt. But how much salt? I don't know. I'll take a couple grains, but sometimes they gave me like a half a bottle of salt in this episode, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, totally. All right, so let's move on to the next. I know you have a lot to say with this next topic I'm about to bring up, so I'm really excited to let you take over for talking for a little while. So they go shopping for Susie's birthday, which I'll tell a story about that in a little bit, but he's, to quote Larry, he goes, and I'm going to start using this all the time. He goes, I got to go drop some kids off at the pool. I am totally going to use that line going forward. So here's the deal. I'm cool, like, at my gym, if I'm there and I really have to go, I'll go number one. if I'm out of town, obviously it's unavoidable, but I would prefer to go to the bathroom wherever I'm staying if I'm out of town. But just in general, I don't really like using public restrooms, especially if I gotta drop some kids off at the pool.
Yeah.
You said you have a story from the day. What's your whole situation?
Right. I don't like to either. I have to when I when I have to I don't like to not to. I'll say that much. So so my good friend, my coworker, the bar I work at, he opened his and another friend's bar today. Like, so they're relaunching, like they bought a bar that was like previously in existence, is now theirs. This is like the grand little bit like soft reopening, Super Bowl night, everyone come in. So I got there early, I'm hanging out, and I'm in like a little bit stomach sick a little bit, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this is like their big night. I don't want to go here. Do I give up my spot and go like give up my parking spot, which is very valuable, drive somewhere to a gas station? Do I just walk somewhere? Do I just walk into a public business and then be like, oh, I'm not going to buy anything, I just need to use your bathroom? So I just decide to go to the bathroom in their like new business, and it was a one person. So like I had no idea to this point. I go like walk back, one person, shut the door, lock it, sit down, get comfortable. About 5 to 6 times there was a jiggle on the door handle. No knock. So like I don't say anything. Minute goes by, another jiggle. Like, I'm not going to say anything. Like, it's just a jiggle. They're not knocking. But I'm always freaking out. Like, are they like, no one's in here, we're jiggling, well, come in and get them. Like, you open the door, and I'm like, oh, I'm here, I'm your friend.
Surprise!
And I'm like, come in here. So it's just the extreme embarrassment of just being in like a one-person stall with people like just constantly jiggling at the door, of not knowing, like, are they going to come in? Are they going to ask for like, oh, no one's in here, we've been jiggling for a while, knock on, like, so eventually, like, I got done with my business and got out, thankfully unscathed. But like, you just don't know. Like, I hate going in the within the public sphere of like, there's so many unknowns, too many unknowns, not worth it.
So I have some follow-up questions and I have some comments of my own. My first follow-up question is, did you not want to go there because you don't want to stink it up?
I didn't. Correct.
Oh,
that's also correct.
I don't care about that. For me, it's just about like, okay. So for me, it comes down to,
but everyone knows me.
Sure.
So if I'm the one that's like,
oh yeah,
all the workers know me, and it's like, oh, somebody stinked it up, and everyone turns to me and looks, and I'm like,
now did they have any? Yeah.
If it's a unknown place,
did they have any air fresheners or anything?
No, gosh, no. They're brand new opening.
So
they're nothing. So I'm a brand new. That's the thing. They're going from like absolute freshness because no one's gone to the bathroom there yet to like a total like complete stink.
Right, but you broke it in.
I broke it in.
You kind of popped its cherry.
So kind of proud of that.
Right,
but still, I don't want to be blamed for it.
So here's the deal. First of all, so for me, these are all the things that come into play. Like your bathroom, I'm all about that. It's one thing. You can go in there, you shut the door. It's you. You are the king of the domain. You are king of the castle in that room at that time. It's when there's multiple stalls and urinals. It's like I get a little stage fright. you know, because it's like, okay,
I get that.
especially if
I
I'm
get that.
gassy, right? Like if
Totally.
I gotta let a couple farts out first before like it starts going. By the way,
Yeah.
if you're watching the show, yeah, this is gonna be a disgusting conversation. I don't know what to tell you. We're talking about dropping the kids off at the pool. So there's that aspect, right? That's why like something like I love dropping kids off at the pool at like a Walmart because you know, you walk in, nobody looks at you, you're not expected to buy anything. It's fucking Walmart. You go in, you take care of business. There's a lot of stalls, you know, blah blah blah. And it probably already kind of smells like bleach or it smells bad in there to begin with. They're cleaning those bathrooms like every 30 minutes at Walmart. Shout out to the workers at Walmart, you know, keeping that really nice. My big thing is the toilet paper. You know, sometimes it's like, man, it's like I might as well just take some tree bark up there and just like, you know, it's either too thin or it's like you're gonna get a rash from this or something like that. Like, I will say this: there have been some gas stations I've been to over the years, and like Bass Pro Shop. Don't ask me why, but Bass Pro Shop's got some really nice bathrooms and they got good toilet paper, all that sort of thing. I've been in those a few times. I say this to say, for me, the reason I don't like going in public is I don't care about stinking it up. It's the toilet paper, it's cleanliness, because I couldn't tell you on the same side of the coin how many times I've walked into a public restroom like a Walmart and they haven't cleaned it yet. No bullshit. I won't say where I was because I don't want any negative press out there, but I was at a franchise chain place. This is just in the last week or two. And there was blood in the toilet. Like I walked into, because, all right, by the way, if I don't see a hand, I'm very perceptive. So like if I see somebody that's in a wheelchair and they're headed towards the bathroom, I'm in and out in less than 5 minutes, usually less than 3. Because I don't drop the kids off till I got to drop the kids off. If I see somebody that's handicapped going towards the bathroom, I'm not going to be an asshole. But most of the time I use the handicap stall because I'm a bigger guy, tall, right? And those toilets, I need the leg room, all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
So I usually use the handicap one. So I walk in there, and the first thing you always do is you address the situation. If this bathroom is up to my standards, I will use it. If it's not, I'm out. I will. There have been times where I'm like mid-workout and it's packed at the gym and I'm like, I can't do it. I'm going to get stage fright. And I just go home and go to the bathroom and then I drive back to the gym. I lose like a half an hour, but I don't care. Like it is what it is.
Sure.
So I say this to say, I walk in the bathroom, no poop, no toilet paper. I don't see any discoloration of the water, so I'm assuming there's no urine in it, but I do see blood. There's blood. Like not a lot. Like you know, if you had one of those like droplet things.
Sure.
I don't know what they're called, but like those droplet things, if you were to drop like 8 drops of blood into the toilet, like maybe somebody had a bloody nose. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just immediately was like, I don't want AIDS, I'm out. And I like I know that could sound vulgar or mean, but that is honestly what crossed my mind. I'm like, I'm not fucking around with that shit.
I'm messing around.
And I turned around and I walked out. Because again, if you're a police detective and there's a brutal murder and you've got your latex gloves on and your, 3-piece suit and all that stuff, fine. But I'm not putting my ass on something that might have blood particles. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's fair.
So that's where I'm at with public restrooms. Have you ever I know you're kind of in like you're in Wisconsin and everybody I've met from Wisconsin is pretty friendly. I'll never went to the Blackhawks parade the second time they won the Stanley Cup in the 21st century. I was at the Blackhawks parade. We stand outside Marshall Fields and I was with a bunch of friends. And when the parade ended, we were going to like another party. Like it was like a good 25, 30-minute walk away. and I'm with one of my friends, and she's got to go to the bathroom. We must have stopped no less than 3 places, and they were very stern. It's not a public restroom. It's not a public restrooms. And it's like, she's just got to pee.
Oh,
and,
man.
and like, she wasn't even drunk. Like, it's not like there were people that were with us that were like hammered. You know what I mean? But like, she was not, I don't believe. I definitely was not. And I'm a good spokesman. Go ahead.
I had this on the way when I lived in Chicago, when I went to Moody, when I was skateboarding down to Wrigley Field, even though the World Series wasn't happening in Wrigley. There was still a big crowd at Wrigley. I was skateboarding to Wrigley. It took me a very long time to find a place that would let me in just to pee. I think it was a Walgreens or CVS that finally like let me in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me a while.
No
to even
bullshit. That's where
just
we
to
ended
go
up.
in. Yeah. So
We ended up at a CVS.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you can use the bathroom. It was the employee bathroom. But
Nice.
I walked in the store. I was like, hey, I got a friend outside. It's the Blackhawks parade, right? Like, it's madness.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got a friend outside. She's got to pee real bad. She's, and she's like, oh yeah, she can. That's fine. No worries.
Nice.
By the way, how long did you live in Chicago for? How did I not know this?
Just 2 years.
Did you go to Moody Bible College?
Yeah. Yep.
No shit. I know a lot of people listen to Moody Bible Radio.
Oh, okay. I never did.
Yeah. I don't
nice.
listen to it either. I know people that do because they talk about it all the time.
Okay. Yeah. From 2015 through 17.
That's
Like
awesome.
Fall of 15 to spring 17.
And you live near Wrigleyville?
It took me 30 minutes to skateboard there.
Okay.
We were in Old Town, so yeah. Yeah, I would go to the Taco Bell. The Taco Bell by Wrigleyville every once in a while.
How did you like your experience here?
I loved it. Yeah, the city was great. I spent most of my time at like 2 a.m. skateboarding around the city listening to movie podcasts. It was great.
Okay. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome.
Topic for a future different episode.
Oh,
of a different
100%.
show. Yeah.
By the way, me and Juice have known each other for about 3 years now. And I mean, we all met up in Los Angeles just a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But we're still learning new stuff about each other all the
right.
time. So that's one of the great bonuses of this show is we get to know each other better.
So good.
But yeah, so this episode as a whole, like I would put it like middle of the road. Where would you put this episode?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, nothing. I like the first one better.
We should have a rating scale of like pretty good or pretty good or pretty good.
What do you think about the double gift? The whole idea of buying the one gift and then having a backup gift.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius. Here's the deal. Because if she doesn't love it, you can be like, honey, it's an appetizer. Your other gift is outside in the treehouse right now. And I was going to wait till dinner to give it to you. Which saves you from, but which timeout. Here's the thing. I do think it's genius and I'll stand by that. These two have been married for like 25 years at this point. How the fuck do you not know your wife well enough after 25 years to know what to buy her? And two, who the fuck is still looking for that nice of an anniversary present when you've been married for that long?
True.
You know what I mean? Like birthday, anniversary, whatever it is. A little questionable. What are your thoughts on the backup present?
I'm reminded to like when I was a kid and I thought I had been given all my Christmas. Like this is when I was like still a kid, like expecting Christmas to be like I receive everything I ever wanted in life. So I'm like, I thought I'd been given all my gifts, right. And my mom had hidden like one special one, like behind, like I don't even think it was behind the tree. It was behind the couch. So like you couldn't even like search for it. Like it was in a place. And my dad told her like, don't do this to him. He's going to be upset. But so I like get to like the end of opening all my gifts and I'm like, oh, I didn't really get anything that great. And then they're like, oh, but there's one more for you. And it was a Nintendo Wii. And so I was like floored, like I screamed, like, which was uncharacteristic of me. It was unbelievable, but yeah, it was. So I kind of get it, like a little bit of like the, of like, I wish I didn't even have to go through it kind of point of view. But at the same point, from like a guy perspective, I could see, I mean, I don't know, like when it comes to my mother, I know like she's going to be happy with anything I give her because
Right.
it, you know, I'm giving her something.
It's all sentimental. But when
It's
you're 10
sentimental.
years old or you're
Oh,
13 years
yeah.
old and it's Christmas,
Whatever.
that's a different story.
You know, sure. But I don't know. But at the same point, though, I don't know how to shop for her. I've known my mother since my birth, obviously. I still don't know what present to get her. I don't know if I would, with my own wife, 20 years, I don't know if I would know still. Because I don't think, unless you're writing a list for each other, I don't think it's going to be that easy. So I do sentiment with Jeff and Larry.
People have always said that I'm like the easiest person on the planet to buy things for because they just know like, oh, I'll go get it. Like when I was younger, it was like buy him a CD, buy him a like he's got all you would have to do is call my parents and they would have like lists of music that I like that I don't own yet or whatever it be.
Yeah.
Like now that I'm an adult, like everybody like I'm so easy to like, and they say this, people say this to me all the time. They're like, oh, buy him a new hat or get him like a hoodie or, you know, like what, like, and I love it. I love it. Like I got this for my birthday like a year and a half ago, and it's one of my like 4 hats in my rotation. All that sort of stuff. But here's the deal. At the same time with like moms, so for Christmas, we used to get her like bubble bath and like, oh, here's this cool gift set with like soaps in it. And no joke, like it'd be like Thanksgiving the next year, and I'd like go in her room and she's used, and if you're listening to this show, you can't see me, but like she's only used like half of one of the bottles, you know, because again, it's like cool. Yeah, this is like I'm going to take a bath and have like these cool, but 90% of the time you're taking a shower. You're just going to move along quickly.
Yeah.
So I just get her chocolates every year. I try not to get the same ones. I get them from the same store. Let's get chocolate. It's like, but to her, it's like, oh, my son got me these. You know what I mean? Or whatever. And like every 5 years, me and my sisters try to do like a photo shoot to have like a new family photo. She loves that stuff. So that works. But everybody's different.
To bring this full circle, I don't know if we want to cue the theme song. My mom loved chocolate, and I was so excited this year to buy her chocolate. And I texted my dad with her gluten allergies. I'm like, "Can mom have chocolate?" He texts me a list like, "No, she can have macadamias and walnuts and whatever." So I just bought her all that, and that was my Christmas gift. Was just all the nuts my dad like replied in his text. So that's all I got.
I've gone, we'll kind of start wrapping things up here in a minute. I've gone shopping with, there's been, maybe it's just a me thing. Like they just assume like I'm smart enough to know what they'll like. Or I can't quite put my finger on it. I've gotten many phone calls from different people, different friends of mine over the years that are like, hey, I got to go get the girlfriend or the fiance or now like the wife or whatever it is. Birthday, Christmas, anniversary. I got you a present. Sweetest day, which is a bullshit holiday. I got you a present. Will you come with me? It's like, I really don't know what to get her. And it's always some version of that. And I've gone no less than like with like 6 or 7 different people over the years. And because I can visually, I remember them all. And I'll never forget this. It was the day before Christmas Eve, like 10 years ago. One of my best friends called me and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" I said, "Nothing. I'm free." "Hey, you want to go to You want to go to Barnes and Noble with me? I got to get, I won't say the person's name. I got to get so-and-so some Christmas presents. And I go, hey, man, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. And he's like, I've been busy. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, no, you've been lazy. That's what you've been. So I drive over to his house and we get in his truck and we drive over by the mall like a half an hour away. And I think Barnes and Noble's still in business currently. They're on their way out, but we go in there and he bought her like 5 books. And I'm just like, is this like your main? Oh no, I got her a necklace. And I'm like, then just give her the fucking neck. How much was the necklace? No, it was like $100. I'm like, so you're going to give her a necklace and like 5 books. What's your order of operation for how she's going to open this shit? And he goes, I'm not that far. I haven't thought about it that far yet. And I'm like, all right, here's how you do it. Put all the books in a box and then have a bigger box underneath it with the small box with the necklace in it. Have her open the first box like, oh, here's 5 books. Cool. Because obviously those are bigger than the necklace. So like if you were stacking gifts, the necklace would be on top. Bigger box, then she'll open the necklace. I don't know if he did that or not, but because to me it's like, hey, Merry Christmas, babe. And she opens it and here's like a whole bunch of fucking Nicholas Sparks novels. And then it's like, okay. I don't know. I'm cool. I love the idea of a backup gift, but it's like they gotta be in the same wheelhouse. So like if you're gonna get her a necklace, and then let's say she's got a charm bracelet, and you get her like 2 charms to get added to her charms, those are in the same wheelhouse. $50 worth of paperback books and a necklace, just like a weird. Like, why don't you just get her 1 book, and then maybe like get her something else? You know what I mean? There's a little variety. Do you have any thoughts on any of that? Like, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. As long as they're like in a, as long as like it goes from lower to bigger order. But yeah, I don't have enough experience in that world to. But I'm with you. I'm definitely like that friend of like observing like what my friends are with the girlfriend wives are getting, and so I feel like if they brought me on to be like pick out their the way that Larry picked out the for the hotel mini bars that same way. I
love that bit.
I feel like I would be great at picking out gifts for other people, just not gifts for people that I know. That's what I feel like.
100%. 100%. Once again, leave it to Larry David. Gives us, plenty, an hour's worth of material to talk about, because you're the one that said it. And I think that should just become like the subtitle for the show. Nobody watches Curb for the story.
Yep.
Some shows you watch because it's like Mad Men's a great example. Like, what's going to
happen next?
Yeah, what's going to happen next? There's some suspense. There's a bunch of drama going on, blah, 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 blah. Some shows you watch for like the morality tales and like the life lessons you learn. This show you watch, I don't know why people watch this show.
But we love it.
Yeah.
That's all that
So
matters.
that being said, I think we pretty much got everything wrapped up. Is there any last things you want to bring up before we start getting out of here?
I don't think so.
We did it.
I think I had one quote. It's too illiterate.
Too illiterate?
What?
Can you not read your
What
own
a thing!
handwriting?
What a thing to go through. You have to think, but another person.
I have no idea what any of that means at all. But all right, so we're gonna close the show. On that note, listen, I have maybe the worst handwriting on planet Earth. and I just try to make it clean enough so that way I can read it while I do it. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and close the show out tonight. We're gonna go meet up with one of our buddies when this show's over with. Juice, what do you got going on, and where can the people find you at?
Oh gosh.
You don't know where they can find you?
Well, we aren't gonna have a What the Show episode on Wednesday because I said I had plans on Valentine's Day. We can't have a show, and then the plans aren't gonna happen. So we can't have a show, but I don't need to tell them that. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that's all a joke.
Don't they do shows without you all the time? But I'm assuming Mike and Bethany are probably going out.
I'm hoping, like, that's kind of the thing. Like, I'm like, don't have a What the Show. Just go out. Like, that's why I'm like, let's not have What the Show. Just go out, Mike and Bethany, do your own thing. Don't worry about AJ and I. AJ had an idea. AJ was like, oh, I might do this, and I'm like, I might do this. So it's like, yeah, just do your own thing. Don't worry about
I wish
us.
we would have had this discussion like 2 weeks ago because me and Della Common are doing a Valentine's Day music show that we've already got planned, but we could this would have been like a good opportunity for us to collab. But I'm sure we'll get to that sooner than later.
Yeah, for sure.
But so yeah, What the Show, Justin the Juice.
Yep.
That's where you're at.
Totally.
You can
I'm working
find me.
on
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm working on a secret guitar episode that I will not reveal anything yet, but it is going to be epic. It probably won't be released for like 5-6 months, but it's going to be legendary.
Well, you know I'm going to watch it either way, so I'm really excited now if you're saying it's going to be legendary. You can find me at Rob Fishbeck coming up this week. On Wednesday night, me and Della Common will be talking Heartbreak Songs Volume 1, the tearjerkers, if you will. And then Thursday night, you can catch Lego and myself with guests, the Ambassador Danny from Next Issue Podcast. Wow, I couldn't get that out of my mouth to save my life. And Kurt Hagens from his own YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about double features on Characters of Culture coming up this Thursday. We're slowly moving towards picking up more subscribers. Again, thank you for watching the show. We will have an audio version of this show out coming very soon from Anchor Podcasts. Be available everywhere you find your podcasts. And Rob's inching closer to hopefully getting stamps.com to sponsor this show, sponsor this channel.
Oh, wow.
That's my, like, they haven't contacted me, but like, if I could be sponsored by anyone, it's stamps.com.
It's a 2024 goal for sure.
We've talked about that. Yeah. So until next week,
love it.
Take it easy. And what's your famous quote to end the show?
Squeeze it easy.
Hell yeah.
And I'll have a